Here we are. Look, there's Liz. Hi. It's hitting yarn. Sorry, did I not mention that?
Oh, no, I just, I kind of...
That's your thing.
Isn't that thing.
Yeah, okay. Hello!
Hey, good morning, and welcome to the Adventures of Liz and Rebecca, the Sun Dragon Sideshow.
She's saying it all today. I don't need to talk today. I'll just go home.
No!
No! Vamp, Liz, vamp.
Nope.
And that's right when the music stopped too. That's awesome. All right. So welcome. Hi from Brevard. It's our Monday, so I'm gonna be all over the place. I'm Rebecca. I am the owner of Sun Dragon. This way. Sun Dragon Art and Fiber in Brevard, North Carolina.
I'm Liz. I'm the minion at Sun Dragon Art and Fiber in Brevard, North Carolina.
That she is. And we're trying several experiments, and we're going to have all kinds of distractions today. But it's episode 31. This is so crazy.
Which is our 42nd episode, isn't it? Like,
yeah, if we're
VSC
actually
and
keeping track of everything. Yes. So, yes, it's June also. How crazy is that?
When did that happen?
Everyone I've talked to recently has been like, it still feels like March. Because that's when life stopped. Was March. So we're trying a couple of new things today. Well, no, we're trying one new thing today, which is we have background music playing. Because we usually have music playing in the shop.
Yeah.
And we're just, who knows?
There are also people out on the patio, and they're all talking loudly, and we're hoping that the music kind of...
We're trying not to get distracted and twitchy because they're out there.
Yeah.
You can't, they're over there. You can't see. Because the camera's pointing this way. But, yeah, so let us know what you think of the music. And if it's too loud, or you can't hear it all, and what are you talking about? And then we'll find out, right? So, yeah, but we're a little distracted by people having a breakfast meeting out on the plaza, kind of appropriately socially distanced.
It's a little...
Still making us twitchy. Anyway, yeah, so... And I left... so we on Friday put together some kits, only some of which I put online, because life and feeling tired. And yeah, the dragging furniture around. Anyway... I'm going to turn into the old lady get off my lawn lady a little bit in this video.
Okay.
I apologize in
You're
advance.
the oldest one.
I don't even know. It's like they're playing musical chairs cakewalk. I don't even know out there. Oh no, I think he just doesn't like being in the sun. Why be outside then? Anyway, sorry. Was that outside?
We don't know if they can hear us outside.
Yeah. I yell a lot louder than that sometimes, and so far, no one's glared at me, weirdly. Anyway, so no, we made kits for the Hug Shot, the new Casa Pinka, which is a free pattern this weekend if you buy yarn from a local yarn shop.
We will send you the code if you buy it from us.
Yes, I already have at least 2 people to send codes to this morning because I put my newsletter out last night, and we'll send you the yarn. And so even if the yarn doesn't get to you in time, you can still get the free pattern this weekend. That is not what's right in front of us, though. That's not what this pile of yarn is right here, because after that, that's in a tub on the floor over there. After that, we made some options for the shift cowl, which I don't even... Oh, wait. Oh,
it's right
I don't
in
know
front
where it
of
is.
you.
It's right in front of my face. So we were talking about this lovely, the shift... You don't want this one. I've coughed into it now. That is an Andrea Mowry pattern, and I've got a catch in my nail, which is going to catch on this.
She did a whole series of the same pattern, but in different things. There's a sweater, there's a hat.
I'm trying to arrange it by looking at the camera.
Big scarf, and the triangle. The triangle cowl is really cool because you get the cowly bit, but you can display the work.
You can look like you're wearing a big giant shawl, but you just throw it on your head like I just did, and maybe take more time arranging it, or less time than I just did. And you can see all the work because it hangs down. It's that triangle cowl look is really popular right now. And it's called the shift because it shifts through colors. And like I can hold this up. This has 2 solids and 1 color changing yarn in it. One of these feeder Brook Farms.
Actually, not one of those. They've already been bought. The oxidation.
Well, 2 of them have. Here's the crazy thing. I held this one up as like, I think that's the same colorway as I used in this. No, this is the oxidation. This is the new oxidation. This is an example of how with hand-dyed yarns, you will have very different dye lots and very different combinations because there's some hint of that color in this, but it's different. It's quite different than the one I remember using. The one I remember using is a lot closer to this one, but it's not. Different colorway. Anyway, I didn't mean that specific one. I meant entropy in general. But Liz is going to be specific, which is probably good. So, but if you made it out of 3 of these, oh my gosh, it'd be awesome. This I only had 1 color changing in the shop, and so I made it with 1 color changing and 2 solids.
The pattern was written for 3 color changing.
Yes, and so everything's always changing, and you can't really tell what's one or another, or you don't have as huge blocks of colors you do. Like if you look at the orangey red on this, and the olive green is not as apparent as being a big block, but those are my solids in this. But it's a really fun pattern. We're probably going to put those kits up later online. And it's an example of what I'm going to talk about in terms of what I'm working on right now, of what's called mosaic knitting. And I washed my face and hands. I did. No, I washed my hands before I started touching my face just now. I scrub them when I come in the shop, so I feel relatively okay touching my face because we're not letting anyone else in the shop right now. We've mentioned that many times before. Trying to keep it sanitary.
Love you guys.
We love you and we're protecting you by not letting you in. So, mosaic knitting. Do you mind if I monopolize the conversation for a second?
No, because I'm on my last. I'm on my last row.
Liz,
green.
so this is an interesting conversation for us to have today, of the idea of color work and knitting, where like with this and with what Liz is working on, you've got 2 colors appearing in what looks like the same row. We've got things that change colors, patches of color in knitting. And Liz is working on what I would call stranded color work, or Fair Isle is the fancy name for it. And I think I've mentioned in other videos that sometimes people will only call certain types of stranded color work Fair Isle because it's a classic pattern. And actually the kind of thing you're doing I think has kind of a classic pattern repeat. So
Scottish, it's a Scottish pattern.
So I would call it both. So, hey Liz, you want to, I know I said I was going to monopolize, but well,
yeah.
I'm sorry.
No.
Stranded, well, both take a little bit of thought.
So this is what I'm working on. Thistles.
Look at that. Look how far she's gotten. Like anyone who was at Knit Night, she was down.
When I started
there.
playing with it again, I was in here, and I've done all this in about a week.
So she's creating a really cool pattern, and she's holding both strands of color that she's using right now are involved in the row she is knitting.
And I'm a continental knitter, which means I normally knit with just my left hand. And some rows are easier done, just drop it, pick it back up, and drop it, pick it up. But this row I'm doing, every other stitch is white or green. And so I'm having to English and continental.
She's using both hands, which I think I showed you when I was working on the cowl last week, 2 weeks ago, something like that. Time has no meaning anymore. But she's using, if you're watching while we're talking, she's doing a stitch or 2 with one color and then a stitch or 2 with another color, and she's following a chart. Do you mind if I grab this?
I don't mind if you grab that because I have the chart memorized.
This is the chart she's following, and there's a lot of counting involved and a lot, but again, I have a tips and tricks video that I've done with charts and how to read them and how to follow what's going on there. So
fortunately, fortunately, because it's in the round, I don't have to purl back across the back row.
Makes her very happy. So this one has rows that look like they have different colors on them. But it was only done with one strand of yarn at a time because it's something called mosaic knitting. Mosaic knitting is where you go across and back with one color, and then you go across and back with another color. And the way you get that layered look that looks like you're switching colors as you go is you're slipping stitches of another color.
It was my first dabble into color work.
Yeah.
Like I didn't Fair Isle or you have the other one.
I was going to do some comparisons of things.
It was easier to learn about floats doing the...
And what are floats, Liz?
So, on the back of my hat, like when you change color, you have all the strands, and Rebecca's shown strands before, and like you want to keep them loose so you maintain the stretchiness of the knit.
Like, say you have to do 2 purples, or let's say you've got green and
I've got green and white.
So say there's 2 whites and then 2 greens. So when you're knitting the 2 greens, the white floats, the strand floats behind it. And you want it to float and not yank. Yeah, loose floats. The yarn floats behind the others.
If you pull it too tight, it makes all of your work go. Ugh.
Yeah, and it doesn't look as pretty. And some of that you can block out, but if it's way too tight all the way across, it ain't gonna block out. So this has both knits and purls in it. This is what I would call combination mosaic knitting. But again, it's you knit 3 red and then you slip 2 green and knit 3 red, and it creates that tiled look. So again, mosaic tiles kind of thing. Without you having to worry about 2 yarns and what they're doing. You're only worrying about 1. Still want to keep your floats loose.
So much easier to pay attention.
But like this, the back of this is not quite as complicated as the back side of hers, where there's floats on every single row of both colors. There's only floats of 1 color at a time here. I had to grab another thing because there's more people on the plaza distracting me. Because I want to show you a couple different things. So what I'm working on right now, I have not finished my Anchor summer shirt. I have not made progress on any of my other shawls because I saw a pattern. Was it Friday? I might have seen it Thursday and came in Friday and went,
Friday you left with it.
Yes. I started a new shawl.
It's worsted weight.
So
it's worsted weight, she said. I'll be through it this weekend, she said.
We're in polite company, so I'm not giving her fingers, I said. Yeah, if life was normal and there were only a few things going on in the world, I would have busted it out maybe in a weekend. I'm really happy with the progress I made. I mean, you've
made a lot of progress.
This is by Cheryl Faust. It's called The Chain. You can probably see why. And it is mosaic. It is garter mosaic. So again, let me hold this up really close. It's garter, in that garter, fancy name for knitting every row. So I was like, Liz, you'll love this. There's no pearls.
I like garter mosaic.
You see the garter ridges? It's squishy. And the stitches look the same on both sides. But garter mosaic means you're slipping your stitches on the back side of the work, what's considered the wrong side. Depending on the side you're knitting, it may not be the back. It may be what's facing you. That gets confusing. But what I can show you of this one is, as it's getting stuck on the yarn. So the current row I'm on, I have just finished knitting across. I have, the black is over here, the charcoal really. The original design for this was crisp black and white, and I went, ooh, I want to do it in Freddie Harbor charcoal, which is like an off black, and a crew, which is cream. I was like, that's gonna be so pretty. So I have a yarn of each color, this way, at each end. I've got the charcoal over here. I've got the ecru over here. Because, again, each color in mosaic, you leave one color where you started and you go over and across with the other. But if you look at this, I have charcoal stitches up on my cable or on my needle. And that's because I just did my right side row where I'm knitting with the cream and I'm slipping stitches that are the charcoal. And on the way back, see if I can show you this. So the back side of the pattern, and you want the stitches on, this is the clean side, what I like to call the clean side. You want the floats to be on the dirty side, the not clean side. So if I do the pattern properly, what I like about mosaic is the row back, you're gonna do 2 rows, over and back. On the row over, you pay attention to the pattern and what you have to knit and slip. On the way back, you get to, unless there's increases and stuff, which there is in this, you knit the stitches that are the same color as the yarn you're holding, or purl, depends on the pattern. You work the stitches that are the same color as the yarn you're holding, and you slip the stitches that are the other color.
It's great because
in my opinion,
you don't have to pay as much as
you don't have to think as hard. So I am going to, I know I can't really, because of social distancing, I can't get this super close, but I've got a whole bunch of creams here, and it's hard to show you with this. So as I come up to it, I've got a charcoal there, so I'm going to move the yarn to the side I want to slip on. I'm going to slip that charcoal, and I'm going to go back and I'm going to keep knitting the creams, and I'm going to do that all the way across on the way back. And when I get back there, I'm going to pick up my charcoal and I'm going to follow the next 2 rows of the pattern, which are going to go over and back with a new repeat. And it's going to give more of this pattern, which I think is really cool.
I like it.
Yeah, it's fun, which is why I've gotten as much done as I have, even though I'm kind of crazy busy. So what I wanted to show you though is this is a pattern I've taught as a class. This is called Walk in the Woods, and this is also, the top part is mosaic. Now this is stockinette mosaic. So if you take a look at this one, you have what I like to call all the V-necks on one side, all the knit stitches, and all the purl stitches on the other. Whereas mosaic, and now that I'm in the middle, it's a little harder to show off. Let me flip it so you can see
Gartered
this.
mosaic.
Garter mosaic, thank you. Yeah,
Welcome.
it's gonna keep me on track because it's our Monday. Garter mosaic means I've got that textured, we've got the turtlenecks, the purl ridges on both sides, on the front too. So that's an example of how mosaic can have different looks, but I think it's really fun. It's one of the things I call fake Fair Isle. The first thing I call fake Fair Isle, if you want to ease into doing Fair Isle knitting, stranded color work, is you get a yarn that patterns for you. That I also call the Rice Krispie treat yarn, because it's like those,
it took forever to strand these socks.
Yeah, when all you did was knit. People who grew up in the 80s, I was born in the late 70s, but I grew up in the 80s, and that Rice Krispie treat ad, I worked so hard, gave her time off in the kitchen, away from people. So people think you work real hard. You still worked hard because you still knit those things, but the yarn changed pattern. This is like the next level, where you're doing color work, but you're only having to deal with one color of yarn, one yarn in your hands at a time.
Unlike this.
And then there's stranded color work. I love it all, but there's different levels of thinking involved.
And different muscles, depending on how you, like, I was telling Rebecca this weekend, I was like, my right arm hurts. And she laughed at me.
Because she's not used to using it.
I knit with my left hand, and
she's got to do this.
So, yeah, the muscles haven't...
Throwing yarn is so exhausting.
It is, really.
But guess what? It fools my watch into thinking I'm actually getting a lot of exercise. It's kind of funny. My watch is like, wow, you're busting it out today. And I'm like, not really. Boop, boop.
But yeah, it's
Actually.
like if you start holding, you know, if you do this and you hold different, you're gonna work different arms.
You could develop muscles.
Yeah.
No, the funniest thing with my watch is if I really get into a rhythm of either knitting or crocheting, it will think I'm swimming.
And it water locks.
It'll go, boop, looks like you're doing a workout. We're going to protect your watch. And the funny thing is then you can't actually, if you were actually swimming, since it's waterlocked, you can't say, yep, okay, we're good. You have to turn the little crown thing over here and unlock it, and then it beeps and everyone looks at you funny. And then dismiss it. I have to do that when I'm really in the groove, and like once a day, because then I can mute it for like the rest of the day. Anyway, so yeah, this yarn also is really, really yummy. Friday Harbor. Some colors have fleckies in them. I may decide tomorrow to actually sell it, like do a QVC on it, a VSC on it. So I won't grab more things right now. But it's yummy and squishy and awesome stitch definition, and yeah. And other colors of this we'll probably get, so you can make kits. You can make it in your own color. We'll make kits. Yeah, not quite awake yet. But no, I'm like, I'm so excited with the progress I made. But like any shawl that gets bigger every row, whether it starts at the corner and goes out, or starts at the center and goes out, the rows are getting longer, and they're getting harder to get across. And so eventually I will finish. Eventually. Depends on how busy y'all keep us on Tuesdays and Thursdays. And now, a little bit on Wednesdays and Fridays. So.
Just a little bit.
Just a little bit. My newsletter went out yesterday with step 1, phase 1 of our reopening. Even though we were never closed, technically, for business. Phase 1 is we're going to start on the plaza help. We're still going to do virtual help when I can schedule it. Wednesday and Friday mornings at 10:30, I can take one person. I'm already booked halfway through next week. One person on the plaza for help. We max out at an hour. It'll be $15, and everybody needs to wear masks. And we will provide hand sanitizer in case you want to use it.
And we're only doing one person per day because we're trying to get home by noon on those, or leave the shop by noon.
We're trying not to be here all day. Part of that is because people keep coming up thinking we're open and want to do business, and we're just, no, we can't do that right now. Anyway, y'all keep us busy enough on Tuesdays and Thursdays that we need to recuperate. So, which is, I'm embracing this phrase. It is a good problem to have.
I'm over it.
I used to tell people when we moved over here, and they're like, I said, I'm selling yarn faster than I can replace it. And they're like, but that's a good problem to have. And I want to smack them. And now, you know, any problem is a good problem to have, maybe, sort of. I don't know. Life is just, I don't know anymore. So, yeah. So this is the only thing I've been working on. What'd you do?
Oh, I
heard a gasp.
Tiny needles.
Yeah, that's true. I was saying I'm amazed at how much progress you've made on this, because she's knitting on needles that in her world don't exist.
They don't exist. They're mythological.
So what is the name of your pattern?
It is
I need
Celtic knots and Scottish thistles. It's a cap. It's a fisherman's cap. It's not quite a gnome hat, and it's more than a slouchy hat. And I found another one.
Oh my gosh, she sent me a text of another one with this intricate.
It was
this
longer.
Mythologically
It
small.
was longer.
Yeah, and I'm like, how are you? I'm like, it's beautiful, but how are you going to do it when it requires knitting on needles that don't exist in your world?
Yeah, that we're gonna have to work on, because I think they want smaller needles than this one, and these are about as small as I'm willing to go. It's a Vogue pattern, and for anybody that's been in the shop knows my feelings on Vogue. They do gorgeous stuff, but sometimes their patterns
sometimes
wonky.
the patterns have errata, have wonkiness to them, and sometimes they just write them the most complicated way they possibly can.
Yeah, my dislike for Vogue, or I don't generally use them, is because sewing patterns, they take the easiest shift dress, cut it up into a billion pieces, and put it together the most difficult way possible.
And that's not Liz.
And
Speaking of Vogue, though, we do have the new Vogue magazine here in the shop.
it's got gorgeous patterns in it.
And yeah, they're just not Liz's cup of tea. But they're awesome. There's brioche. I wouldn't necessarily recommend learning brioche in the middle of a pandemic.
Or out of Vogue.
But I am trying to sell things here, Liz. No. Anyway, no, there's beautiful stuff in here.
For people that already do it,
for people who are used to Vogue, it's awesome.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to find something nice and pretty to show y'all. I mean, it's all pretty.
There's lots of pretty in there.
There's lots of pretty in here. There's a lot of classic designs in here this month. We have a bunch here, by the way. So if you want us to send you one, let me know. We still have $5 shipping. And we'll pick up the extra cost if it's over $5. We have curbside pickup. Their color, they pick one color per magazine, and it is blue.
That is a pretty blue.
And it's not even, it's more royal blue than the like color of the year classic blue, but it is, yeah. A primary color, lace work. Oh my gosh, there's cool stuff. We've had it here for like a week or two, and I just haven't found a way of advertising it. Oh my gosh. I don't know if I'd wear
feather and fan dress.
A feather and fan whole dress, but you want a challenge, you want something fun to do.
You could shorten it and make it a sweater.
You could. There's only certain body types, I think, that suit themselves to dresses and things like that, or for things being flattering. I will say, and we should wrap up soon, but this is what I call, I know she's got some curves, but the people who are stick figures can little sticks can fit some of these things better than those of us who have curves. I will say a shout out. I have not tried any of these designs, but I've heard awesome things from people who are curvier, curvy to curvier. Jessie Maid is a designer who's super hot for people who are not sticks. And shout out to Shia. I finally got to looking at her Instagram feed, and she made a crop top and some shorts, some booty shorts.
They're
from
cute.
The Jessie Maid pattern with yarn that we sent her. They look awesome. So we definitely recommend, if you're looking for patterns for people who are not sticks, that you go check out Jessie Maid. And I don't mean any offense to people who are sticks. You have awesome patterns for you too. It's just there's people who are straighter and people who are curvier. And not everything looks the same. Whoops.
We froze.
Our app crashed. But we were kind of trying to wrap up anyway. So I'll leave, we'll edit out any oddness at the end. And start right where I did. What I was saying is people who are thinner with no curves and people who have curves, everyone is beautiful. And everyone should find patterns that flatter them,
Where they feel comfortable in.
Yes. I get patterns in here all the time. Or I see patterns that are tank tops. And those are awesome. But I also know a lot of our knitters who are not comfortable with showing off their upper arms. And so you got to do what helps you feel beautiful and powerful. And if that is showing off your yams, then go for it. If that's something that's not going to help you feel better about yourself, find a pattern that will. Or add to a pattern. Lengthen the sleeves, shorten it, all those kinds of things. Something that makes you feel better about yourself.
Yeah.
I think it's possible for all of us to make things that make us feel good about ourselves. First of all, that we made it. And second of all, that we can the cool thing I like about knitting and crocheting is you can make a garment, if you're choosing to make a garment, that flatters you. Instead of nothing fits me.
You don't have to go back and alter something later or
Yeah.
not buy it. Like you really, really want it, but it doesn't fit right. You can custom it for you.
You can Carolize it.
Yeah.
Shout out to Carol to make it work for you. It's a little more work than just following a pattern. Some patterns will account for that. Some patterns will say, hey, if you want to bring the sides in or you want to make it boxy, here's what you do. And if you really want it to empower you personally, then you take the extra time to figure out how to do that. You learn how to do that because anyone can, in my opinion. If you know how to knit and purl, you have the power to learn all the other stuff too.
Even if you don't purl.
All right. I think that crowd is about to take over our outside tables in the shade because they're in the shade. So we're gonna go spy on them. And
Sorry.
Grumble in an old lady
For
way.
anybody who's anti-sun. I'm just over people sitting on the patio.
We're over people in general, but we love you all. So, anyway, wrap up with the, if you want t-shirts, we're still taking orders for t-shirts. That will be ongoing, and we'll fill them as we can get them from the company. We'll put that in the link below. If you haven't subscribed already, please subscribe. I think a lot of the people watching are subscribers, but we always love to grow the crowd. We hit 370, which I'm excited about. Now we get to push towards 380, or we push towards 400. Oh my gosh, that just sounds huge, right? So subscribe and click that bell if you want the notifications. Share this with other people you think might get a kick out of it, either the yarn stuff or us just being
silly.
Us. She's sad, whatever. Yeah. At least give it a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Every once in a while we get thumbs down and we go, huh?
What?
Huh? But, whatever. That's life, right? So, that's life. Life is insane right now anyway. I'm gonna be quiet. We're gonna
and
let you get about your day.
I have worked on more than just this, even though it doesn't look like it. And next week we'll show, or Thursday we'll show you more.
But that's a lot of progress, what she's done. It's a lot of work. So, Hey Liz, what do you usually say at the end of these?
Stay tuned for more adventures of Liz and Rebecca.
Cool, because I probably would have said it wrong. All right, we love y'all. We miss you. We would love to connect with you through Knit Night or out on the plaza under the safety protocols we have in place. All that kind of stuff. Much love. Stay safe. Stay home if you can. Yeah. I'm gonna just fade out and run out of things to say. So we'll just be like, we love you, bye-bye. Mwah, bye. Okay, we're done.